Lee from Inner Guardians, please take us back to where we left off.
Right. Okay. So this is an interesting slide. The ray of creation. Okay. I'm absolutely not going to discuss this because this in itself is probably around about 10 years to present. But it's just to give you an idea.
10 years?
Yeah, it took me around about 10 years to get any basic understanding of this. The reason why I put this slide up is just to give you a kind of a taste or an idea of reality. And, you know, we actually don't really know that much about reality. We know enough to survive. But on the grand scheme of things, with the ray of creation, it's very, very vast, as you can see. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that. It's just really just to show you. Right. So 7 levels of humanity. So this is just a very.
I'm not even convinced we were ready to see that, Lee. I just looked into that. we had to full screen that. Sorry if you heard us. I forgot to mute. I was just looking at Andy. Andy's looking at me like.
Can we get back to that?
Yeah, we want to go back to it. But it's going to take 10 years.
Yeah, it take about 10 years. That's just.
Can you just give us 5 minutes more on that last slide?
Or just 2. I mean,
No,
just 2. Just maybe 30 seconds more.
No. We're going to move
okay,
on.
right. No. Too much more to go. Sorry. Carry on. Sensei.
Right. Okay. So, there's a reason why I presented this. Okay, I don't really have to, but there's a reason why I have. Right. So we all understand. There's various people around that are eugenicists and basically think that we're nothing more than a bunch of pigeons or whatever. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a certain degree of truth in that, in terms of that they have a certain amount of knowledge. The problem is they're using it for nefarious reasons, but they do actually view us as really uneducated, useful idiots. So they don't look at humans as all the same. Now, in esoteric studies, in the occult, it's basically the same. There's different degrees or different levels of humans. So when you say somebody's a human, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same human. But I don't want anybody to sort of confuse what I'm saying with that, you know, I think somebody's not as good as somebody else. It just means that they're on different
levels of spiritual progression.
Yeah, basically, yeah. We're all on different parts of the journey. I think life would be quite dull if we were all the same. The problem is that some people are being taken off the journey completely, and some just don't have a soul or essence, and they're just complete machines. Now, this just gives you a rough idea. Okay, so 7 levels of humanity. So level 1 would be just somebody that's purely physical. We all know people that are just completely interested in the physical. They have absolutely no interest in anything in terms of mental, emotional. But in saying that, everybody does have a little bit. It's just not much.
But we all know those people that you're talking about. We all know those people that just anything to do with the non-physical world is absolute, instantly, by default, garbage, silly, poo-poo, rubbish stuff that only idiots and pot-smoking weirdos like double LMC talk about. Yeah.
So people in occult groups or esoteric or alchemists, they'll normally refer to people depending on like numbers. So there'd be like a man number 1, man number 2, man number 3. For anybody in a group, they would be expected to try and get to man number 4, which is basically the 3 combined. So they're part physical, part emotional, part intellectual, but in harmony and balance. So that's kind of the first ambition, is to get to level 4. Okay. And then you've got level 5, which would be the unity of the 4 with self-consciousness and higher powers. Now, what those higher powers are, I don't really want to go into, but they could be all kinds of things. Then you've got, say, human number 6. They've reached a level of objective consciousness. And then you've got human number 7, where they've actually attained a permanent I and free will. And they become immortal within the limits of the system. So when we say...
Can I just slow you down a sec there? We are totally getting this, but where is this 7-step system? By your opinion, where is this coming? Is this Freemasonic? Is this a general level of understanding from secret societies?
This would be a general understanding from mystery schools, which the term mystery school is a generic term for all of them.
The religion behind all of those organizations is what we're basically talking about. The level of understanding behind all of those structures of information transfer.
Yeah. So, for instance, the Buddha would be considered a man number 7. Jesus, man number 7. Muhammad, man number 7. So, yeah. So,
where would you put yourself, mate? Ooh, big question.
Well, the thing is,
be honest. Don't be humble.
It's actually frowned upon in groups to actually give yourself a number. It's kind of left to others to.
I would understand that. I think that's probably a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Let's say I would hope that all of the Rise Above family are at least broaching level 3. At least, I think we're in between. I'd like to say we're somewhere in between the 4 to 6 region. Anyway, sorry to interject.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I say, it's just a rough guide. And it also, like I say, I've shared this so that you can get inside the mind of those leading the agenda. Now, they consider themselves possibly to be men number 7, but they're doing it for nefarious reasons. Yeah. Right. Okay. So magnetic centers. Magnetism is not taught as a university degree. Why not?
Good question.
Think of all the sciences that you can get a degree in. You can't get one in magnetism. They don't really talk about magnetism. They kind of tell you that they don't really know what it is. When in actual fact, magnetism is pretty important. So, for instance, to get to a man number 4, you'd have to have a magnetic center, okay, which basically means that you start to draw the knowledge to you. So, level 1, 2, and 3 is kind of hard graft where you've got to seek knowledge. When you get to level 4, the knowledge will start coming to you because you've developed a magnetic center. Man number 4 will start to experience almost supernatural phenomena, as in not coincidences, but things seem to happen and things seem to support them. It basically means they're getting free from denying force. Sorry?
Synchronicities, would you describe it like that? Not coincidences?
Yeah. But what it basically means is you're freeing yourself from the denying force. The denying force is having less power on you. And man number 1 is completely dictated by the denying force. They're pretty much a slave to whatever is given to them in the physical realm. By the time you get to man number 4, you're starting to be free from particular denying forces, and you start to have a magnetic center. Okay,
a lot of people in the comment section are actually we have a lot of numbers flying up in the comment section. So someone a minute ago said I'm straight up number 7. Fair play. A lot of people are saying, a lot of people are being very humble, saying I reckon we're just level 3. Tom Thomas is saying I'm level 3. Nick Lannister is saying no one is a 7. We can only dream about that. That's fair play. That's very humble. Wolfie the Executioner, who was on 2 streams ago, thank you very much, Wolfie, would say I would say that most researchers and inquisitive people are in between 5 to 6. I'd say maybe 4 to 5 personally. Yeah. Anyway, as Inner Guardian said, within esoteric and occult circles, it would be frowned upon to put yourself on that 7-step system, because that is a level of categorization for those that are below you. If you're in a dark occult system, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, right. The moon. What is the moon? I mean, that's a whole debate in itself. But I would suggest that it's something to do with magnetic forces. Now, it's very hard to establish first principles on the moon, because unless you've been to the moon, you're probably not going to know what it is.
There's no foundation to compare it to, is there? Yeah,
but most occultists, alchemists, and so on and so forth would suggest that there's some magnetic force with regards to the moon. In our day-to-day experience, we're kind of taught that the moon affects the tide, it affects water, the lunatic.
Yeah, we've covered that.
The police will often report that crime goes up when there's a full moon. Stories about werewolves and so on and so forth.
The lunatic asylum was always at its fullest at the full moon in Victorian times.
Yeah, and then you've got to look at, where's the word lunatic come from? There's obviously some connection to the moon. So it has a magnetic pull. Okay, now this is just an interesting thing. It's a bit of a mind bender. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to demonstrate it without visuals, but there is no pull there is only push force.
Okay, are we talking about the difference between centrifugal and what's the opposite of that one? Because I've heard this argument before. Say that again. Say that again.
Right. There is no pull. There is only push force. So if you was to open a door, you know, how would you open it? People would say that I would pull it towards me. Yeah.
Well, if the door opened that way, what about if it opened the other way?
Right.
So if the door opens towards you, how are you going to push it to open it? Listen, I'm going to counteract this. I'm going to counteract your narrative here, in the Guardians. If the door opens towards me, and I do this to open the door, how is that push?
Because you're pushing it from behind. Pull indicates that there's no contact, that you're drawing something towards you with no contact. It's a bit of a mind bender.
Oh,
it's very, very hard.
It's about surfaces, and it's about...
Yeah. So people say, well, I could pull your car. If you break down, I'll put a tow rope on and I'll pull you. But you're not pulling because you have to hook. And it becomes a push.
They're pushing from in front.
Yeah.
We're back to the wordplay again, aren't we?
Well, yes and no, but it's very important to understand this, because in order to get to any higher level or causation level or anything like that, or astral projection or perpetual motion, you need to kind of understand basic physics. Now, we're not taught correct physics, which is another taken away from first principles. So we all assume that there's a push and a pull, when in actual fact there's not. There's only push. In order to create a real pull, you need a magnet. So a magnet can draw something to it without touching it, which leads us into non-physical.
Right, I see. So what you're actually saying is that any kind of energetic interaction which involves physical contact, whether we perceive it as forward or backwards, is essentially pushing. Doesn't matter if you're pushing towards you or you're pushing away. That is a push. That is essentially energetically and forcibly a push.
Yeah. So
is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. If a door opens inwards, and you're on the inside, to open the door, you need a handle. That handle gives you the push, not the pull. It's confused. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but what I suggest is everybody has a direct experience of this. So the next time you have an opportunity to pull something, actually examine what you're doing. You know, the handle that you're holding, the jiu-jitsu gi that you're holding, you're creating actually a push force because you're hooking behind something. You can't actually draw anything to you.
You could take it one level back, take it away from the thing that you're gripping. Look at the ligaments and the tendons and the muscle sinews within, first of all, your fingers, secondarily, your hand, thirdly, your wrist, and fourthly, your bicep and tricep. There are plenty of opposing forces in there. You can't say that every single one of them would be in one direction. So that goes to what you're saying. Your contact with the door might be in this direction, but the physics and the mechanics within the sinews, the tendons and the muscles of your arm will be working in multiple directions to push. I get it.
No,
I get it.
The reason why this truth is denied us is because they don't want us to understand the real meaning of magnetic centers or magnetism.
We have a comment here I think we need to address. Wolfie the Executioner says, aircraft wings are pulled, sucked into the air with a negative pressure. They're not pushed up with a positive pressure. So he's talking about the shape of the aerofoil. And if for anyone that studied aerodynamics, the way that a wing works, it must be a certain shape on the top and the bottom to create what they call the lift. How does that relate to what you're saying? Is this a misconception? What would you say to that?
I would say it's a slight misconception. We've got to make it really simple, right? Put an object on the table. Okay. How can you make it move towards you without touching it? Okay. The only way you can get it to come towards you is if you put a handle or grip it. Now, the only way you can put a handle or grip it is that you put a push force to it to draw it towards you.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to get too stuck in this, but this is a gateway or doorway into understanding energetics, the real energetics of how you can attract and draw things to you energetically.
Thanks for that, Wolfie. That was a great question to lead to this explanation.
Yeah, I mean, that subject alone, I kind of threw it in there because it's kind of a rabbit hole. That question or that subject could be 12 hours of discussion and debate. But you've got to establish the first principles. But what I'm saying to everybody is to try it, experiment. Take an object, take a door. Try and get to the understanding of the push and pull, or the forces of push and pull, and also the understanding of magnetism, because it becomes very important when you become non-physical or non-physical entities.
Amazing way of putting it together. That's a great way to put it all together.
You can attract, you can magnetize certain energies for good or for worse. Okay.
So to summarize, there is no pull. There is only push. Mate, until maybe that was 5-10 minutes. I did not understand. I understood number 1, number 2. Number 3, I was not on board. Now I understand. So thank you for Wolfie and anyone else that interjected there. That was an amazing way to break that down.
There's an action of pull, but there's not a force of pull. I think that's the easiest way to describe it.
And let's put some humor in here. You can't pull anymore because pubs aren't open.
Pull a pint.
we got to keep it. You can't pull a pint, or you can't pull the local bike. And she's got push and pull force as well. Nothing's happening. There's no push or pull. Well, hey, we're going deep, but it's all about the humor. Big up, Gillian. Thank you very much. Right.
So we're going to go into perpetual motion. Basically, the kind of holy grail of science is perpetual motion. Some say it has already been discovered. Some say that they're still in the pursuit of it. Billions of pounds are spent, or trillions of pounds are spent on the discovery of perpetual motion. With perpetual motion, basically it means free energy. Now, if you go down one, it's got octaves. Okay, so music is done in eighths. Okay, music is a frequency. Frequency, basically, you need to understand frequency to understand anything. So alchemists, occultists, so on and so forth will have a general understanding on octaves. Okay, so music is done in eighths. Okay,
In the Guardian, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, sorry. Spoken Word Nerd jumped in because he's so frowned upon by the Soviet Union. As soon as he jumped in, he cut down. Spoken Word Nerd, I'm going to keep you in the green room until we open it up for the big discussion when Lee's finished the presentation. Carry on, mate.
Right. Yeah. So to understand the universe, you need to understand frequency. Frequency, music is frequency. Music is actually part of the quadrivium. Okay, so it's very important to understand music, and with the octaves. So basically, you've got the octaves, as you can see, but you've also got intervals within the octaves. So between mi and fa is an interval, and between la and ti is an interval. Okay, so
that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Yeah. So without going too far into it, the only way you can create perpetual motion is if you can bridge the intervals. Okay, and so to bridge the intervals, you need shocks. Now, like I say, I'm not going to go too deeply into it tonight, especially now because of how long it's taken to get this far. But it gives you an idea of what the occult arts are all about. Understanding music is very important because if you understand music, you can understand octaves and intervals. When you understand octaves and intervals, you can understand the rise and fall of energy. When you understand rise and fall of energy, you can understand perpetual motion. When you understand perpetual motion, you can understand free energy. When you understand free energy, you can understand why they're trying to hide free energy. It's been occulted. We're being denied free energy. We're actually living in a realm where they want us to buy everything, and everything has to run out. So therefore, they don't teach you how to bridge intervals, and they teach you how to not understand octaves. As a side note, the education that we now receive is metric. Metric is in tens. So basically, it's kind of like a corruption of the natural law of frequency that we should actually live by. So the metric system is basically satanic.
Whoa. Well, we already knew, like, mate, I've said to you in our private discussions, you've said to me, the Satanists are not hiding it anymore.
No,
they're not even occulting their influence. It's not like hidden in plain sight. It's in plain sight now, right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's largely because they're making a final move, and it's the final frontier that they need to conquer. Okay, they've more or less pretty much conquered every possible aspect of humanity. The final frontier is to penetrate into the inside to basically harvest our essence, and inevitably we'll lose our souls. Okay, so this is the greatest crime of all time. But the thing is, like Count Dracula, you have to kind of invite them in.
Yeah. What did we say in our first ever introduction to the dark occult? I said to you, Dracula, every Dracula mythology, he doesn't kick the door down. He doesn't bust in the window and molest people.
You have to invite him in.
You have to basically fall in love with him.
Yep.
You have to be seduced by him.
Yeah, consent.
It's consent. And this is what we always talk about. The consent, the belief in free will. We have to acquiesce to our own demise. And Inner Guardians, Lee, I'm not going to put all these comments up. You are literally putting everything into perspective. I know I've said this 3 or 4 times. It's a long stream. I'm going to say it again. Everything that we've been talking about, you are laying down the first principles. You're tripling it. You're applying the quadrivium, then the trivium, the quadrivium, the 7 liberal arts, and now we're seeing it, the 7 stages of man. Mate, this is real cement to our flimsy shack that Right Above has been building, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, and everyone in the comment section is proper loving it, mate.
Well, the thing is, potentially, with this knowledge, you could transform reality. There's a lot of people that are opposed to this knowledge, for obvious reasons. They don't want too many people to understand this. It's been occulted for many, many years. When in actual fact, we are biotechnology. We already have all this. It's kind of been buried. It's kind of laid dormant. But we all have this. We need to start recognizing like what we are and what our real potential is. Because to be born, given a birth certificate, national insurance number, work in a job that you don't like, retire, have a shit pension, and then die. Is that it? Look at our reality. Look at the realm. It's quite fantastic. We're actually a lot more important than that, which I'll come on to. Okay. Right. Second law of thermodynamics versus evolution. Now, this was something that I never understood at school. So, for instance, I was taught that evolution was fact, that we came from a big bang, and then evolution. So we were some kind of thing in the sea, and then we became tadpoles, and then we developed legs, and then we started walking, and then so on and so forth. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I was taught that. But then I was also taught in physics the second law of thermodynamics, which is entropy, which basically means that things can't continue. Things demise naturally. So how can you have evolution and things demising naturally running simultaneously? It's a contradiction. I used to ask my teachers to give me answers to this, and they couldn't. And it was almost that was what got me started on the path of trying to study and find out and research knowledge. And I'm talking like I was very young, probably maybe 12 years old or something. It didn't make sense to me. So I'm taught evolution, that things evolve, okay, which kind of suggests perpetual motion. And then I was taught the second law of thermodynamics, which is entropy. So things fade away, things drop off. You need to renew it. You need to buy more. It's a big contradiction. So the Big Bang, creation, evolution, all of that, those 4 things is one big walking contradiction. Contradictions in our reality. It sows the seeds of doubt and confusion. Right. So the terror of the situation. Now, this is a term used to kind of wake people up. I know some people don't like to use the word, wake people up, but it's a term that we all understand.
Andy's pulled me up on this, right? And we try to be nice, but there is nothing more fitting. It's like it's bad to call people sheep, but there's no better metaphor than the shepherd and the herd. So don't apologize, mate. Before you start this slide, can I just interject with a burning question from the Empress of Farangistan, Mrs. Rise Above, who's monitoring in the other room, right? She's a big fan of your work so far, mate. She's got this question. are there any rituals or daily practices that we as individuals can do to use non-physical protection to protect ourselves from malevolent entities, this non-physical attack? Please elaborate.
Yes. To be honest, they're on the other.
Oh, is it coming?
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. If it's coming, then it's coming. You carry on.
Don't worry. This has a very, very happy ending. We'll all be celebrating. What I'm saying right now is going to transform and change a lot of people. Okay, either straight away or in a week's time or a year's time or whatever. It's also probably going to crucify a few people. I'm not necessarily saying anybody in the audience, but potentially what I'm showing people, it will absolutely glitch them to pieces. This is why I have no fear.
What we're about here on Rise Above.
That is literally why we've created the show. We want to glitch people out of the Matrix, mate. We want to create that time lapse which says no more. We have evolved. Do it.
Yeah, it's a magnetic center. You've created a magnetic platform. A lot of people will start to be drawn to what you're doing because they'll also have a magnetic center and they'll be drawn in. Hence, the development and the growth will be done in the correct way. It'll be done via the truth. Okay, so the terror of the situation. Right. Now, this is kind of the terror of the situation. This is the situation that we're actually in. Okay. Food for the moon. Okay. So, in a nutshell, if you're born, live a life, and you don't bother to develop a soul, you'll become fertilizer energetically for the moon. Okay.
Oh my God. What did you just say that again, please?
Right. If you're born and you live your life and you have absolutely no interest in developing a soul, okay, we all assume that we're born with a soul. Well, that's partly true, partly not true. We're born with essence. From essence, we're here in this reality, this realm, to develop a soul, to grow one.
So, Lee, would you call it, like the innocence of a child? Would you call that the essence?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm with you.
And this is the origins of pedophilia. Pedophilia is not necessarily a sexual thing. It's about killing, terrorizing, crucifying the essence of children. And it's not, basically the whole world is run by that act, and that is the terror of the situation. So when they talk about missing children and adrenochrome and all these subjects, that's partly true, yes, but the greater part of it is suppression and the harvesting and the taking away of the essence.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, so everybody's born with essence. Doesn't necessarily mean you have a soul. Now, a soul indicates that you can basically transmigrate from 3D reality into other dimensions. Okay, that's not going to be the case for everybody. I would suggest the terror situation is a wake-up call that it's time to start paying attention and developing a soul. I will also suggest that the soul can outdo any genetic modification.
Boom.
Yeah.
So when you say genetic modification, let's bring this into real-time, real-world application. We're talking about
the food we eat.
The food we eat. Are we talking about the nanotech?
We're talking about glorious substances, potentially.
Yeah, sure.
Glorious substances. Thank you. Schwabian tech.
Yeah. We have far more power than they want us to know. Okay, right. So if you concentrate rather than worrying about glorious substances, you should be more worried about the soul. The soul can override, can actually undo any DNA or genetic modification that we've received. Bearing in mind that we've already received it, and not the glorious thing, but the other genetic modifications. I would say that we are a consequence of years and years of certain modifications, but the soul has far more power and has the capability to override and to correct.
Mate,
that was big, Lee.
Oh, mate,
thanks for that.
Thank you. Honestly, I've got that that back of my neck hairs standing thing. Yeah. This is why you're on the show tonight, mate.
Yeah, this is very important information. So, I'm not a bringer of doom and gloom. I'm actually a bringer of hope and solutions, solutions.
That's what people are looking for, mate. Solutions.
Yeah, because we 2020, we've had plenty of problems. We know what's wrong. But
if you don't know what's wrong by now, you've got something wrong with you. Sorry.
Right. Okay. So this is the next one is synthetic universe. Okay. Now this is the scary bit. Now I would link this to Elon Musk, who's on about basically Neuralinks and stuff like that. So what I'm saying, or what I'm suggesting, is the agenda potentially is about uploading your essence into a synthetic universe that you cannot escape from, which is basically the worst nightmare that you'll never wake up from for eternity. Okay, now that has to be avoided at all costs.
Sorry, Lee, can you just say that again? Exactly what you just said.
Yeah, I have to rewind my selector. Please reload 4 sentences, mate. Holy shit!
Sorry, mate. What I'm suggesting, part of the agenda, is that they have the capabilities to upload either your personality, your essence, soul particles, or whatever, basically who you are, up into a synthetic universe.
We're talking about Neuralink. We're talking about
all you got to do is go on Elon. Go on Elon Musk's website, and he tells you that's what they want to do, and there will be a huge proportion of the population that will volunteer to do it.
So
they'll queue up and pay big money for it. I know people on my friends list on Facebook that will pay thousands and thousands of pounds for that shit, and they'll go on a list and they'll wait for years to be the first person in line for that Neuralink.
Yeah,
you've seen those people in my comment section, mate.
I've speculated before, Lee. I've speculated on the show, and I've been called crazy, whatever. I said it was Bill Gates. I said if he wanted to inject people with this nanotech, whatever, then we don't really know what happens when we die. Yeah, we don't know. Death is a theory, which to me, death is a theory which has never been proven. Right? Yeah. So who knows? We can speculate what happens when we die, but who knows where our soul goes? And if they're trying to inject us with when they talk about injecting the entire global population, that's for a very sinister reason, I believe, which Lance, you've talked about trapping your soul in a cycle within a cycle.
Yeah, right. Anyone that's seen Rick and Morty, seen the particular episode about Rick and Morty where Rick has a car battery that is a micro universe inside a small box, and when he goes inside that micro universe, all the inhabitants are convinced into doing this action, which creates energy for outside the universe. But people inside the micro universe have started working out how to do the same thing, and it's going in and in and in. Right? See what I just said? Apply that to a soul trap. The Eastern mythologies, Buddhism, and many other disciplines believe that we are caught in a cycle of reincarnation that is cyclical, but it's also it has levels, so you can transcend. So you can actually transcend out of this trap of soul reincarnation. This is what the Buddha said. I'm paraphrasing, yeah. But it is a cycle which can be transcended. Well, imagine if some pirates within this cycle created a level of technology that could create a cycle within a cycle to trap you within.
Yeah.
I believe in my soul, in my level of inner standing, that this is what they're actually trying to do. In one of the things they're trying to do, they're trying to trap our souls, like you say, in a synthetic universe within an already arguably synthetic universe, according to the Gnostics, according to certain esoteric teachings. Am I on the same page as you, Lee?
Yeah. The only problem is that this universe that we're in, you can escape it. The synthetic universe that they're looking at creating is that there's no escape. You'll be a prisoner forever. So if you think it's bad here, and the thing is, they'll sell it as hop on board, join in, and there's a certain section of the population that will happily do that. But they're basically self-slaughtered. They'll be devoid of a soul. They'll just be
they'll be cured for it, mate.
This is all biblical. What I'm saying right now, you can find this in the Bible. It's just in a slightly different language. Okay, so
many languages.
It's not good. It's not good. It's try and avoid it.
We're trying our best. That's why we created the show. And thank you for joining us. Inner Guardians, take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is wars. Okay. Obviously we know wars are bad. We're now involved in an invisible war with silent weapons. Okay. So war is bad. No good can come from a war. That is part of the tale of the situation. Wars take place and people die. I would largely suggest that they're blood sacrifices, possibly to the moon, because the moon needs to be fed. Remember, we're living in a food system. So you're either eating or you're being ate. There's predator and there's prey. So
consume,
I would, like I say,
or exhume.
Yeah, I would say that wars are orchestrated for blood ritual sacrifices, and certain people in control are directing certain essences and energies to the moon as part of some kind of.
It's interesting you've brought out this lunar aspect, right? Because someone else is saying here, top guest. Thank you, Lee Ahmed. Next, right. Sean Carpenter, thank you, Inner Guardians. This knowledge is invaluable. And I'll tell you what, guys, let me say something. This knowledge that Inner Guardians is dropping for us, for our pleasure tonight, this is the knowledge of an adept. This is the knowledge of an initiate. This is the knowledge that Inner Guardians actually charges a lot of money to go into a much deeper level. I'm sure not too much money. Maybe we can talk about that later. A much deeper level of understanding if you want to instruct this man, because we'll talk about it later. Your tailor packages about non-physical protection. But yeah, some of these comments here, guys, thank you so much for your positive comments. Thank you so much for your feedback. Absolutely loving the way that you're putting this together at the moment, Inner Guardians.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking primarily about the soul and our essence, which is part of the personal protection project. But I charge people for, being a consultant to protect their homes, their assets, their children, their families, and so on and so forth. So it's a kind of a spectrum. I'm doing a deep dive into the esoteric side of personal protection.
While we're just talking about your packages, I want to say I've talked about this, coming and spending some time with you for a weekend. I've already chatted to Andy. Like, Andy's on board as well. Mrs. Rise Above would could we book maybe 3 or 4 of us for a group session to come and stay with you for a weekend to be properly trained over a period of days into the different aspects and elements of non-physical protection.
I think it'd take more than 2 days.
Well, no, but obviously I know you do weekend courses. I know you do Zoom courses.
Yeah.
Like that would be that would be an amazing video for Rise Above, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Zoom at the moment, because of the lockdowns and stuff like that.
Obviously, not under COVID regulations. I'm talking about when they're lifted.
Yeah, if and when they're lifted. Anyway, right. So the last part is the transhumanism, which is kind of linked. Remember, everything's compartmentalized, so that you can never figure stuff out. Okay, so you're left in the dark. So it's deliberately compartmentalized. This is why you've got talking heads or figures such as I won't say the names, but we all know the usual suspects. If you put them all together, then you can see the agenda. They keep them separate so that you can't see the first principles of what they're trying to do. Okay, so even these 4 subjects are all connected, very much so. But that's the tale of the situation. That's just an image of food for the moon. It's like a soul essence harvesting to feed something in the moon.
Wow.
Okay. Humans are born with essence and must develop a soul. For those that do not develop a soul will be food and fertilizer for the moon. Those that do develop a soul can rise in ascension via eternal recurrence. Now, that's another kind of eternal recurrence is a form of reincarnation, but it basically means you live the same life. I would suggest that we're all living the same life over and over again, a bit like Groundhog Day. That was a truth bomb.
Bill Murray, Groundhog Day, what an epic movie. A bit like They Live with the glasses, which we keep showing in the memes. A very, very poignant movie from what, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
don't make them like they used to.
I'm very skeptical about the typical reincarnation theory, where basically, I don't know, like I was in Egypt or something, or I was King Arthur or whatever.
The egotistical reincarnation narrative, I was very important 100 years ago.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think this is largely connected to some kind of, I don't know, some type of mental illness.
Can I just ask you a quick question, mate? So what do you think about people, Lance, you just spoke about, I was very important, pharaohs and that kind of thing years ago.
Yeah.
But what about people that just, there are strange stories of, children that have spoken to their mother about ancestors that there's no way they could have possibly known about, and just
kids that have told these stories.
Yeah, things like that. I mean, what was your take on that? I mean, I'm not ruling out paranormal or anything, and I'm not saying it is a reincarnation. I'm just saying, is there any link to what you're talking about in this system which they're trying to trap us within and that sort of thing?
What I would say, when that type of thing happens, it's like a schism or almost an accident where people
like a fracture, almost
a time loop, maybe.
What they're doing is they're dipping in and out of the level of causation or the realm of causation. So remember, there's no time, and you can kind of move around a bit. Some type of Akashic record or recording system.
Mate, we like me and Andy are just looking at each other, going like, "Whoa," because this is like normally.
This is really deep.
This is great because this is like normally after hours chat, and you're just
keep going, Lee. Keep going. Sorry.
All right, yeah. So, like I say, I can't go too deeply into each thing, but it's something that should be interesting. Right. Okay. The 4 inner poisons or toxins. Now, I would say this is largely connected to this illness that is going around at the moment. So you've got fear, doubt, hesitation, surprise. They're all pretty much kind of intangible aspects of ourselves, but they're very important. Okay. So fear, doubt, hesitation, surprise. So what we've experienced in 2020 is literally a doubling down of all of the 4. Fear, doubt, hesitation, surprise. But I would also say that the surprise will be the end result of the soul harvesting or essence harvesting, which I forgot to mention. I would say that CERN has a large part to do with this project that is underway.
Yeah, we all know about CERN here on the show.
We've talked about CERN on almost every stream so far in various different aspects, factually, joking. Yeah, it's been a big topic.
Yeah, so that could actually be a piece of machinery that is going to be used to somehow harvest or bring through essence souls from different dimensions. Or
Lee, you keep talking about essence, right? And many people have, including the Empress from the other room, has put the comment up. Have you heard of the creation called the Dark Crystal? A Jim Henderson movie back in the 90s or 80s, recently been remade into a series on Netflix. And they talk about essence. They have these gelflings, which are like humans, and they have these entities, which are like skepsies, these reptilian overlords, which have taken hold of Mother Earth while Mother Earth left, and they are extracting the essence of the gelflings on Earth, and they drink the essence. It's basically adrenochrome. I've showed you this, haven't I? Yeah. The Empress loves this. She's like, are you aware of Dark Crystal? Muppets, Jim Henderson.
Yeah. No,
they talk about the essence. They're like, essence, drink my essence. It will purify me. Mate, it's mental, and it's the dopest analogy for what we're talking about here. I just had to bring that up.
You can find analogies and truth bombs in a lot of these movies. The film Avatar, that's a very recent.
Amazing example.
Yeah. The bottom line of that film is about essence, and it's kind of the tree, but also So there's essence all over.
What's the missus there saying? The grand tree in the middle of Avatar, right? The tree that they tap into, they touch the roots and they access the hive. Well, we would say the hive mind in a negative connotation. It's almost like the uni consciousness.
Yeah,
mate. I thought Avatar, when I watched it, I was drawing at least 3 or 4 different sort of narrative parallels. It could be talked about British colonialism. Yeah. I was reading David Icke at the time, so I thought about demonic reptilian entity. So basically, the Navis are the humans, and the militaristic, imperialistic humans are basically like the reptilians. And they were coming in and they had dragons painted on the side of the ship. Yeah, Avatar was an amazing...
It's another Matrix.
Yeah.
Well, it's
a Dark Crystal, Avatar.
It's a story of colonization. Now, if you look through recent history, the colonization has basically been on the 3D physical realm. The colonization that's taking place right now is the harvesting of essence and souls. They're reaching the final frontier, literally with the glorious whatever they're getting inside. This is kind of the origins of the inner guardians, because I realized it was time that we need to defend our inner workings, our essence. If you look at pedophilia all the way through to the glorious whatever, it's all about attacking the essence and our DNA.
Right. Andy just said to me off screen, right, we are totally on board with this, right? So the glorious cureism and the Schwabian tech, which is apparently going into the cure, how would you say mechanically this would actually be harvesting our essence? Can you expand on that idea a little bit?
Well,
using Rise Above code words, yeah?
What I would suggest is that this is like the first step of many. I don't think this first wave of whatever it is going to do what they want. It's basically it's kind of an introduction. It's the same way like a form of seduction. So once they've got everybody used to receiving this on a yearly basis or bi-yearly or whatever it is, God knows what they're going to start putting in once everybody becomes it becomes the new normal.
I know. It's called the trust stamp. That's the next thing. I've already uncovered it, haven't we? The next thing is not the injectable Schwabian glorious cure. It's a wearable, digital, MasterCard sponsored, physical, digital COVID implementation tattoo. So that's what you're talking about. Let's put it into perspective. The first time that everybody got a mobile phone that was able to send a text message, you were captivated past the level of the novelty of calling someone on a mobile phone. That was amazing. A text message. I remember a free text message. Text. The next level, you were able to send a picture message. Whoa. We were captivated with that. Well, look how many more steps we are down the ladder now. We have full 5G streaming, the whole the physical Akashic records at our fingertips. And the next stage with 5G is going to go way past that. So let's bring that to what you just said.
It's the 6, 7, 8G that we need to be concerned about, because if you think about it, the G's are all generations, and from 1G all the way through to 5G, which is going to basically lead us down a path where the final frontier will be the capturing of essence and souls. Now, basically, the only way I can describe it is to be in a nightmare that you can't wake up from. Because you're not going to be able to die. You're going to be stuck for eternity. This is what the Bible is probably referring to.
Oh, mate, you just left me speechless. So, are you talking about like what part of the Bible would that be referring to? Is that like the rapturing, the revelation?
That'd be hell.
Hell. So what? Like, oh, okay. So, hell is that? So, what you're actually suggesting is that these dark occult elite bloodlines are using this glorious Schwabianism nanotech cure, along with the transhumanist agenda, along with the progressing levels of G technology, moving towards this technological singularity that could actually trap our soul in a never-ending perpetual nightmare, which could be described as the biblical Abrahamic hell.
Yep.
Shit.
Well,
we've got 160 people tuned in. That's a record. Our guest is Inner Guardians. Please continue.
put it this way, right? Let's put Bill Gates, Schwab, Elon Musk. Who else are we throw in the same room?
Prince Charles,
right? Put them in a room, right?
Georgie Schwartz.
And they've got free reign to do what they want to humanity as an experiment, or almost as a practical joke, or just to see what it would be like. What do you think they would come up with? Exactly what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, they already did.
Without a doubt. Yeah, that's what they're doing. And they're telling us. Now, if you choose to acquiesce or give consent or allow it to happen or volunteer for it, it would be I'm predicting that when this is established, this synthetic universe or synthetic reality, it will be the equivalent to Facebook. Now, try not going on Facebook. It's difficult because it's almost like you think you're going to miss out on something. Well, that's the way they're going to sell the synthetic universe. It will be a literal Facebook for your essence and soul, where you'll just be tortured by algorithms and bots and God knows what else.
What do you think will be the ultimate incentive that they will use to make us connect to that? If for those people, imagine those people that are fence sitters, imagine those people that just can't help but interact with most of the other people that will acquiesce. What do you think will be the incentive to not going off grid, not going back to basics, not going back to like, what should we say, like an Amish lifestyle or whatever that is? What do you think will be the incentive to make people connect to that everlasting, endless hell?
The same incentive that they gave for Facebook. There's no difference. It's just that Facebook's a bit more trivial than spending eternity in hell. But it'll be the same seduction.
Wow.
Oh, fucking hell. That's why we got Inner Guardians on the show, bruv. Wow.
I gotta say, Lee, this is Mate, really big.
Like when we had Human Vibration on, we're like, wow, she's deep. Wolfie, the Executioner, came on board with the geometry. We're like, whoa. Tayshawn came on with his deep research. Lee, there's not many times that me and Andy turn around to each other and we're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah. So, well, it's what we said before. Right. Listen, go on. I don't want to interrupt too much more. Please carry on.
Right. So I'm going to move on to like the happy ending or the good bits. I've kind of laid out the first principles of the terror of the situation. And
you've done it well.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I've scared anybody or anything like that.
No,
but
it's okay, mate.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to end like that. And, you know, there's things that can be done. There's solutions. And actually, I would say that we're not losing. I would actually suggest that we're winning the battle already.
That's good to hear, mate, from someone as knowledgeable as you, as the overall situation, for you to say that.
Yeah.
And you're not making money or getting likes off it. That's very good to know.
Yeah. So I've just switched presentation. Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to put another break in, or
no. We're at 4 hours. Do we need a break?
I'm saying.
Let's roll through. This is too
really
good.
Yeah.
Lee, unless you need a break, would you like to get a glass of water or visit the restroom?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, let's continue, mate. Please continue.